Hi, my name is Stephen Turner with Camellia-Creative, an interior design firm here in Pelham, Georgia. Welcome to downtown Pelham. Today I'm going to take you on a tour of Pelham's most significant and most popular and probably most important architectural gems, the Hand Trading Company building. So I'm going to take the phone now. We're going to do a tour of not just the outside, but also the inside of this awesome structure. The Hand Trading Company building in Pelham was built in 1916. We're going to make our way over to the door to go inside, and I'll talk a little bit more about the history of the building and how it came to be here. It's located on West Railroad Street and the corner of West Railroad and Hand Avenue in Pelham. The building is 100,000 square feet in size, and as I said, was built in 1916. This is some of the outside I wanted to get before we go inside. And I'll talk a little bit more about details about the building inside. Note the mosaic HTC Hand Trading Company here. This was done in all the entrances of the building. Let me lock this door back. As we make our way in, the building, just a little background recently on the building. The Hand Trading Company building in Pelham now is owned by a joint development authority made up of Pelham citizens and Mitchell County citizens. They have been responsible for maintaining and overseeing recent renovations in the building. The department store, as I said, was completed in 1916 by J.L. Hand, who is the founder of the city of Pelham. While the outside is impressive, this interior really is what makes the structure such a treasure. My own personal love of architecture and design was fueled in part by the many trips that I made as a kid into this store. The most impressive feature about the building is this rotunda and dome. Originally, there were no walls blocking your view of the windows on the exterior of the building. However, recently, sheetrock walls have been placed around the rotunda on the second, third, and fourth floor to make available the ability to air condition possible office spaces that can be used. We'll make our way up there in just a minute. But a little history about the town and about J.L. Hand, and I would like to say too that normally this room is empty. However, they have been pulling some things from the basement and from other areas of storage in the building to auction off some of these older items that are no longer needed, that are from previous offices that were here. So usually this space is completely cleaned out. As I said, this building was built in 1916 by J.L. Hand. Mr. Hand moved to Pelham in 1872 at the age of 22. He had been raised and had lived in Americus on a plantation. His family, like so many others, had lost their plantation during the Civil War. And J.L. Hand moved this direction in order to find his own way, his own fortune, and got to Pelham, which was a train stop. It was a water stop for trains that were heading between Albany and Thomasville, Georgia. The water stop had been named for Major John Pelham, of Civil War major from Alabama, by one of his friends who was a train engineer. So when J.L. Hand came and bought property, lots of land around this area, and established the town, he decided to name the town, to keep the name of Pelham. in honor of John Pelham. As soon as J.L. Hand came, he began operating a sawmill and opened up his first store in town, which was really just a commissary for his workers to purchase things that they needed there in town for just basic needs. The small commissary was built in 1876. In 1890, J.L. Hand opened his first department store in town, which was the Hand Trading Company, the original, shown here. Now, this building was built in 1890, as I said, and it still stands. It is now the home of a finance company here in town. It doesn't look like it did then. However, the building is still there and still being used. On a business trip that J.L. Hand took to Chicago in about 1912 with his son Larrabee, he paid a visit to the Marshall Field's department store. It was said that J.L. Hand turned to his son and said, "I'm going to go back to Pelham and I'm going to build one of these there." So construction began on this building in 1914 and wasn't completed until 1916. We're going to walk upstairs in just a minute and be able to see some views from the various floors of the building. But I'll first say we're on the first floor right now, and on this floor were offices of the manager of the building, cotton offices, credit offices, dry goods, ladies' shoe department, hardware, grocery department, and drugstore. The drugstore for years had been over in the corner over here, and this is completely different now than it was when the drugstore was here, but it would have been on this corner, and it was able to be closed off from the rest of the store. There was a grand staircase that went both directions originally here. Now we just have it going one direction, but this was actually put back in recently by the Joint Development Authority in the renovation process. As I say, all of this would have been open all the way to the sides so that you could see windows all the way around, and the store would have been full of merchandise. Here's a picture of how it looked originally when it first opened in 1916. Notice furniture on the second floor, and on the third floor, carriages. In this building, there are over 100 columns. They range from the basement floor all the way to the roof. At the basement level, they are 2 feet in diameter, and they taper to the roof at 1 foot in diameter. I'm going to go upstairs now, and we're going to look at some of the spaces and talk a little bit more about what we would have found in this building when it was operating as a department store. The Hand Trading Company continued to stay in operation until 1984. And at that time, when it closed, another department store moved into the bottom floor, B.C. Moore's. B.C. Moore's remained in the building for about 10 years, or a little longer. After B.C. Moore's left, the building was for sale and was purchased by the help of Mr. Bo Godwin in Pelham, who then opened an Ace hardware store in the bottom of the building. Bo Godwin also was the one who secure the RISA offices to use the bottom portion of the building as well. Both were here for a number of years. Now these right here would have been original offices in the hand trading company. These would have been management offices, those that were managing the store, credit offices, bank. This room here was J.L. Hand's original office. Which is on the front corner. We're on the second floor now. And I'll head back towards the bank. There was a bank on the second floor. The vault is still here. Originally, there would have been teller cages here. You can actually see the marks on the floor where they used to be. Wooden teller cage, but here's the vault for the bank. Restrooms up there. Some more of the bank area. And this staircase would have gone down to the cotton office on the first floor. And again, these new walls would not have been here. This would have been opened all the way. And we'll go through this door to get back out into the main part of the building. On the second floor, which is where we are now, where the offices, as I said, the bank and auditor and secretary and treasurer for the phosphate plant and cotton mill, furniture, millinery, dress goods, and men's clothing department, all of that was on the second floor. We're going to go up to the third floor. These staircases are original. Now we begin to get a better view of the dome. Some interesting facts about the dome. There are 24 round glass panes in the dome. The largest are 6 feet in diameter, 12 of them are. And then 12 others, the smaller ones, are 3 feet in diameter. So 6 feet in diameter and 3 feet in diameter. In the middle is a fan, or a ventilator, it was called. All the windows would have been opened during the summertime, and a large fan ventilator would have sucked air up from the middle of the building through the dome and taken the hot air out of the building. An early air conditioner. While the building has been renovated, the roof has been replaced, and it has been saved from any further deterioration, the dome, the paint on the dome, of course, has suffered from age and moisture leaks over the years. But you can still make out a lot of the intricate detail work that was done by an Italian artist when the building was constructed. Each of these floors, as I said before, have walls that are blocking your view. So I'm going to take you inside one of the areas to see the lighting and how much difference it makes to be able to see all the light coming in. As I said, there are 100 of these columns holding the building, holding the roof up. Now, this is the third floor, which would have been used for mainly storage at the time the building was first built and when it was first opened. First and second floors were the main part of the store. Notice the windows. Some of these have been replaced, but I love the fact some of these windows are still the wavy glass from, most of the windows actually are from 1916. And I'll talk a little bit more about what we're seeing outside the building in just a minute when we get to the fourth floor. Old radiators are still here. And this wraps all the way around the rotunda area. And we were on the McLaughlin Street side a moment ago. This is now the Railroad Street side. And you can see the vast amount of space in this building, making up the total of 100,000 square feet. All right, we'll go one more staircase to the fourth floor. Let me grab something here. And I'll talk a little bit about the architecture. The building was built in 1916, which would have been after the Victorian period. The Victorian period was known for its lavish, garish, sort of overly done design elements. The goopier the better in the Victorian period. The hand building came at a time when that was thought to be old-fashioned. And while this building is historic and has a lot of classical architectural features, in 1916 it would have really been thought of as a modern building. All right, here we are on the fourth floor. And still a better look at the dome. Notice the faces that are above each light fixture. Lots of detail on the dome that's missed when you're down on the first floor. I'm going to walk over to the fourth floor windows to look out, and we'll talk a little bit about what we're seeing outside. Okay. More damage was done here prior to the roof being repaired, and so some of this you will see the plaster has come off, but the building is in completely stable condition at this point. No more deterioration. A lot has been done to maintain it now. Over $2 million has been spent to bring it up to where it is now, and completely sprinkled the entire building as well. Sprinkler system, which you see here on the ceiling, which is now throughout. So a lot of credit to the JDA for all the work that they have done to save this building. On the fourth floor, you have some good views of downtown. You can see First Baptist there in the distance, Pelham Banking Company there in front of it. Pelham was served by two railroads at the time that J.L. Hand built this building. The first railroad, which is still running through town now, but on this side of the building, there was another railroad station, another depot built here. Originally, this tin addition would not have been on the front of it, but this railroad station was here to accommodate passengers and freight coming from Moultrie, Sail City, and this train line terminated in Pelham and was owned by J.L. Hand. Here we're looking down at the roof of the Carnegie Library in Pelham, which was built in 1908, before this building was built. J.L. Hand was able to secure $10,000 in grant money from Andrew Carnegie to construct and open this library, which still runs every day as a Carnegie Library and has since it opened in 1908. Speaking about the Victorian period versus when this building was built, J.L. Hand When he moved to Pelham, built a log cabin. And his log cabin was situated just in front of where City Hall now is, which this is City Hall that I'm looking at now. So his log cabin would have been there on the corner, right in front, basically on the, where that magnolia tree is there on the right. He owned this entire area here where this building, the City Hall building is, and this bank here is. All of this was one piece of property. And in 1885, he built his house. This would have been quite a few years before the Hand building was built. But in 1885, J.L. Hand built his home. And in 1885, architecture and design was in high Victorian at that time. So his home was built in that style. Here's a view of his house that was built across the street, which is no longer standing. It would have been in the road across the street. And here's another view of his home in 1908. And again in 1956. However, in 1971, it was decided by the family that the house needed to come down to make way for the Farmers Bank of Pelham. J.L. Hand had started the Farmers Bank of Pelham, and it was on Front Street, and later moved to the original Hand Trading Company building. In 1971, the president of the bank was Fred Hand, Sr., who was J.L. Hand's son, pictured here in front of the house in 1971. The house was dismantled, and parts of it were sold around and are located in buildings around the state, actually, to this day. And at that time, Farmers Bank of Pelham built this building, which is now City Hall, because Farmers Bank was sold to Trust Company and then has since closed. So City Hall moved into the old Farmers Bank building several years ago. J.L. Hand's house, the Highland Villa, has just been featured and has been painted as a mural on the side of our building, the Camellia-Creative building here, and this is a picture showing it during being painted. It's a treat. It's been really fun to watch Wes Daniels from Dothan, Alabama paint this, and the plans are to have him come back and paint more murals in town of treasures that we have lost over the years in Pelham. J.L. Hand died in November, I believe, of 1916. Hand Trading Company opened January of that year. J.L. Hand was 66 years old when he passed away. He wasn't really able to fully enjoy the fruits of his labor, for this building, as I say, continued to run as a store until 1984. However, his family, children, he had 12 children, all of which in different ways were affiliated with the business, most of which were anyway, through the years. Not just the Hand Trading Company, but there was also a phosphate plant, a cotton mill, fertilizer plant, builder supply, and other businesses that J.L. Hand had started in Pelham, and his family, as I mentioned earlier, Fred Hand was president of the bank. So a lot of J.L. Hand's business interests continued to thrive even after he passed away so many years ago. This building is beloved by the people in Pelham, not just because of the historical significance of it, but also because of the hundreds of families that were affected by being employed here, shopping here. So it means a great deal to the people in this town. The Joint Development Authority has marketed the building, and it is available for sale, as well as leasing. Now, there are lots of events that take place every year in the rotunda, from wedding receptions to weddings themselves, the Chamber of Commerce banquets. There's been several town plays that have taken place in the rotunda since the renovation. So it's really been a great asset to the community to have this building repaired to the state that it is now so that it can be used and can function as a venue. And that's great. However, we would love to see the building back to full use again in some way. And the Joint Development Authority has been working hard on that, as well as the Chamber of Commerce and Main Street program. From an interior design standpoint, which is my interest, I am an interior designer and member of ASID, and that is, this building has always been an interest to me because of its beautiful interior and exterior. So, I appreciate you watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this tour of the Hand building. For more information about it and about the building, about our business, Camellia-Creative, which is a design firm in Pelham, and more information about possibly renting the building or even purchasing the building, I can send you to the right people and get you to who you need to speak with. But please reach out to me. Our phone number is 229-234-2213. Or our email address is camellia-creativedesign@gmail.com. All one word, camellia-creativedesign@gmail.com. We'll have this posted on a Camellia Creative YouTube channel. And this is the first in a series of videos that I'm going to be doing that will be highlighting and focusing on not just interiors, but also architecture in this area in various towns all around. So keep watching, keep looking back, and please share this video. And thank you for joining me.